One of those days on the Russ Meek Speaks show. But it's a format where I've been here for a while, and right now I have a chance to talk with a young man about different things that are happening around the Chicagoland area for people all around the place to say, hey, what exactly do you need to be doing with your life, your body, what you eat, things of that nature. So what do you want to tell the folks that are out here listening today that can make their life better?
Well, Lester, first of all, thank you for having me. And I'm a certified nutritional counselor.
Okay.
And I focus on food. And I'm sure, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have heard the statement, you are what you eat. And I just want to focus on what we should be eating and what we shouldn't to be of optimum health. What we should be doing for this, phenomenal body of ours.
Okay.
That was given to us. So.
Got it. And then format is you work with people on a regular basis. Are you a consultant or?
I am. I'm a nutritional counselor. I counsel one-on-one nutritionally.
Okay.
And also I do nutritional shopping. Take clients to different grocery stores. I mainly focus on whole foods, much better of a selection there. And I also have a little medical device called Smart Pulse.
Smart Pulse.
Correct. It measures your arterial health and your heart rate.
Okay.
But still, my focus is about food and certain water we should be drinking. But yeah, we haven't been doing it correctly for many years.
Okay.
And the food is not what it used to be. In fact, as time goes on here, it's gotten worse. So I just want people to be aware. I believe probably a lot of your viewers are aware of the quality, and there's a lot of what we're consuming, for the most part, isn't what we're supposed to be consuming. And the things that I'm very much into food-wise is kind of what we're told not to be consuming.
Okay.
And I just want to relay, what the truth is, and from my studies and counseling people, etc.
So right now, every time I'm going on the shopping spree, looking at my foods, I get all this sugar, all this other whatever they terminologize that, all these other junk items that are in the food. You can
Correct.
see it listed on the box. It's like, hey, am I supposed to be eating this stuff?
No.
Why not? I mean, why is it being sold?
That's a good question. And the response to that, Lester, is the government allows it.
Okay.
And I will relay this to you. There are about 300 chemicals that are allowed in this country that aren't allowed in others. Europe, for example. But what food manufacturers are doing, actually, to take a step back a little, what I asked the question to people I'm counseling and people just in regular conversation. Do we actually believe that the president and his board members of a food company are sitting at a board table, having a meeting, saying, how can we make this stuff the healthiest for the American public? No. How can we find the cheapest route, the cheapest ingredients to make the most money? That's what it's about. It's unfortunate. And again, it's just to repeat, it's gotten worse. And we've gotten so far away from real food. And I kind of emphasize we need to be going a little more towards great-grandmother's way of eating. Go back to that. When she ate meat, yes, meat. When she ate eggs, yes, eggs. When she cooked in lard, and she cooked in butter, and beef tallow. And we've gone so far away, those have been demonized, unrightfully so. Totally wrong. And I hear from a lot of people that I talk to, they'll say, yeah, my great-grandmother did eat that way. And then I'll ask, how long did she live? 95, 100? I heard one person told me 108.
Okay.
And I'm not saying every every great-grandmother, but many.
Now, that brings an interesting point. I mean, I have a 15-year-old. She's expected to live to 105, from what I'm told. So right now, numbers seem to be going well, but doesn't seem to be working for everybody. And it's probably based on the food that they're eating and the way that they consume different foods.
Correct. There's a lot of factors. We're talking about food. Food is first and foremost. Food is your medicine. Medicine is your food. But also, we have to look at how we cook, how we're supposed to cook, what we're supposed to use when we cook. A lot of us are doing that incorrectly. And also, digestion. I'm hugely into saying you are what you digest, absorb, and assimilate.
Right.
You can have the best whole food diet in the world. If you're cooking incorrectly, if you're not digesting correctly, it becomes detrimental.
Okay.
So, and I never knew this. I didn't. What got me into this was a major health scare back in 2000. And it really set me back and made me think, and I had to talk to another nutritionist, and he told me what it's about, how the body responds to when you put in the incorrect things and the correct things. And that gentleman actually changed my life.
So what happened?
So in 2000, I was diagnosed with what they label as a schwannoma tumor. And it was benign, but from the x-ray and the MRI, it showed there was a spot. And again, they labeled it as a schwannoma tumor, and I was told it has to come out, or possible paralysis may occur. And that set me back. And I had to, the next specialist that informed me of this said, we need to do this operation, because again, if we don't, it will continue to grow and paralysis may occur. I'm repeating here, but he said, but we're going to go through the front. We're going to go through the front of your neck, and that didn't set well with me. So I said, well, let me think about this. Let me contemplate. So I remember leaving, went to my vehicle, sat in my car for some time, and very emotional and teary-eyed, and I'm thinking to myself, what? Here I thought I was eating correctly. And my diet, and I will relay this, was, I mean, there was other things, but for breakfast, I would have total cereal, 100% of this, 100% of that, and skim milk, wheat toast with peanut butter, and orange juice.
Okay.
Little did I know, that's not good. Those components, if I want to call them that, are inflammatory, hamper blood sugar, and I'm going there, there's toxins in there.
Because it seems like those are the same items that you'll get when you go to the hospital.
Correct.
They bring up the breakfast or things of that nature every day. So you're saying those are not the right things?
No, they aren't. They aren't. And it made me think. And so at the time, though, I was also going to a health food store. I just began doing such. And I knew 3 nutritionists there. And I asked one of the nutritionists, what do you think causes this? Because the doctors I asked, their response was, we don't know. I'm surprised they didn't say genetics. Usually that's their response.
Okay.
And he said, Chris, 90% what you ate and 10% out there. And he pointed to the outside environment, out the window. He said, the body's like a computer. When you put in it what it doesn't like, what we're not supposed to have, it will encase these toxins, things it does not want, it cannot use, as some kind of growth. A tumor, like in this case, a wart, a cyst, a boil, and it's the body out of balance as well. And Chinese medicine teaches that. Ayurvedic, the Indian system teaches that, out of balance. So he's the only person that made sense to me. And going from listening to 2 neurosurgeons, orthopedic specialist, and an ex-specialist, their response to my question, what causes this, we don't know. To him, this gentleman, this nutritionist, saying 90% what you ate and 10% what's out there. So if it weren't for him, maybe we wouldn't be having this interview here.
Got it. So it's one of those weird things where right now we try to eat good food, and right now the body is basically saying, hey, it's not good because it's creating these problems. Right
Correct.
now, I'm shitting this back out to you, but in a different form. I'm going to give you cancer, I'm going to give you tumors, I'm going to give you different things like that.
Correct.
And you're saying there's a way to correct this.
There is. So I decided to become a nutritional counselor through schooling, of course. Got certified, and then I started my practice. And I recall, and you and I talked about this earlier, this should tell us as a nation what the truth really is. I had at the time 15 clients during a month time span shortly after I received my certificate. This is going back about 12, 15 years ago. And each and every one, except one couple, was from another country. So there was a young lady who was from Bulgaria, a young lady who was from Poland, a few from Greece, etc. They all had health issues, and they heard about me, and they wanted to use me to try to obtain health. So whatever the issue was, they all didn't feel well. And my question was, I thought about with each and every one, and I asked each and every one, how did you feel, or did you feel this way in your homeland, in your country? And Lester, guess what the response was from each and every one? No.
Yeah.
I did not feel that way. And it didn't matter if one client was here a year, one was 10 years, here 10 years, one was here 5 years. They all had the same response. I did not feel that way in my country. But shortly after arriving in the U.S., eating this food, which I'm quoting them, I thought was good. That's what they said. They really thought the food was better here. Little did they know. And it surprised them, they were not feeling well. So as I explained to them what's going on, then they understood. So that should tell us, we hear a lot from the medical community when you have a health issue. They delve a little, well, did your parents have this issue? Did your grandparents have this issue? It's genetics. No. That to me is saying the human body is too unintelligent. It's an intelligent being, intelligent creation. And it's not a chemical. And it knows what to do if you give it the right tools.
Okay.
Put the correct tools in your car. The correct gas in your car. How's the car going to act? Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
If you put the incorrect gas in the car, it's not going to act too well.
Got it.
So,
There's that saying, junk in, junk out. So.
correct.
Now my question
Correct.
is, what can we do to correct this problem?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I want to relay what we're supposed to eat and how we're supposed to eat.
Okay.
So at the top of the list, I think most of your viewers know this, if not all, water. But not just any water. There's a couple things.
I can't just turn the sink on.
Correct.
Okay.
We don't want faucet water. We want to stay far away from faucet water. It's
Okay.
not good. We want spring water, and a real good spring water. The one that I like is called Mountain Valley. And
Okay.
it's actually from the mountains of Arkansas. And it's in a glass bottle, not a plastic bottle. We
Okay.
can get into plastic a little bit later. So even though that's spring water, here's the thing. Now, I want your audience to kind of really take this in, what I'm going to say. So at the top of the list, water. Right there with water, as far as what we need as a human, salt.
Okay.
Now, there's controversy with that.
I mean, more than salt, right?
Not Morton salt. Not Morton salt. The medical community, I hear a lot from clients and people in conversation say, and they've been saying it for years, stay away from salt or low salt diet. That's not a good thing. The human body, the cells of our body, on the inside is potassium, on the direct outside, sodium.
Okay.
And Lester, when I was a child, I have to state this, running around during the summer months, 10 years old, I would lick, 10-year-old child, we do that, I guess. I would lick my skin. What would I taste?
Salt.
There you go. So we're supposed to stay away from something that's inside of us, that's internally inside of us, and it's an integral part of us. So what they don't understand when I say they, the medical community, it's not the salt. It's what they're doing to the salt. For example, I won't use a company name, but there's a lot of salt companies out there, conventional, I'll call them, that do not leave the salt alone, the way nature made it.
It's not natural.
Correct. They will process it, they'll refine it. They literally heat it at 1200 degrees, around 1200 degrees, and they bleach it. Is that the way nature made the salt? They also add anti-caking agents and dextrose, which is another form of sugar. So now we have what nature created, 85 trace minerals, and minerals are at the top of the list for the human body. Water, salts there, other minerals. 85 trace minerals. When these salt companies are completed with what they're doing to the salt, guess how many of those trace minerals are left? 3.
3, okay.
So the body doesn't recognize it, it can't process it well, and it's high in sodium chloride, and it doesn't have the other surrounding trace minerals. That's the problem. So if we go the route of Celtic salt, which is gray salt, that's my number 1. Himalayan salt, we have to be careful with a lot of Himalayan salt though, because a lot is coming from China, nothing against China, but a lot isn't of the best quality.
Okay.
But I do, again, I endorse Celtic gray salt, and also black salt, gold salt, but Celtic is my number 1. It's the most readily available. And here's why I like it. So, and I'll start by saying this. I hear from a lot of clients and people that they drink a lot of water, but they still feel dehydrated. And I hear a lot, the diagnosis, a lot of times, I'm not saying all, when they go see a doctor or immediate care, I've been hearing this as of late, it's kind of wild. They're diagnosed with vertigo.
Okay.
Now, people have vertigo. But I've asked these clients, rather than me jumping to, okay, you have vertigo, I'm not allowed to diagnose, let me ask you a few questions. What are your symptoms? Everyone has said, my balance is off, headaches, some have said nauseousness, muscle cramps. I said, again, I'm going to emphasize, I'm not allowed to diagnose, I'm not a doctor. You're dehydrated.
Okay.
And, well, I drink a lot of water. Okay, my response is, how much do you drink? I drink a gallon and a half. Some people say a gallon and a half, 2 gallons. And then my question is, well, do you just have water? And what kind of water? I do just water. Okay. That's why you're dehydrated. And usually they'll look at me and say, well, I'm drinking water. How can I be dehydrated? Because the water you're drinking is ending up in your tissues, not your cells. It's about cellular health. And the reason is, if you drink just water, what's missing are the minerals. So we're not so much dehydrated from water as we are from minerals, and minerals with the water.
Okay.
So the number 1 way to do it, to push the water into your cells, is Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt.
Okay, and you can put that in your normal water drink, just put it in.
Correct, you can, but the thing about that, Lester, is it floats to the bottom. We know that, right?
Right.
And you're drinking, you're not going to get it unless you keep stirring and drinking right away. It's difficult. So the object is, put this Celtic salt in a salt shaker, sprinkle 1 sprinkle on your tongue prior to every glass of water.
Okay.
Not every sip, but every glass of water. And the reason this is very effective and this works is Celtic salt, and Himalayan, but again, Celtic salt has 3 types of magnesium. Magnesium is a water-hungry molecule. So there's the water. I'm clasping onto the water. Magnesium encases the water, and guess where it brings it? Not into your tissues, into your cells, and thus hydrates you.
Okay.
So I also want to emphasize to your listeners, not only do we need to do that, or we should do that, we also need to put this salt on every single thing we eat. I'm not allowed to guarantee, but it does not raise blood pressure.
Okay.
If we did that, how I described with the water and on your food with the refined salts, the way I described what's done to them, then we're going to have an issue. More than likely, blood pressure is going to raise, kidney issues. So again, I want to emphasize, it's not the salt, it's what's being done to the salt. The salt was here for a reason for us, and we have it in our body for a reason. It is vital for the heart, for the cells, for balance with potassium, etc. So we need to put it on our food as well. So we have salt, we have water, salt, we have minerals. We are deficient, so deficient in this country in so many things, and at the top of the list is magnesium.
Okay.
I mentioned magnesium.
And again, I know that's definitely an area, but right now I look at, especially in the African American community, I still look at diabetes, looking at the high blood pressure, and looking
Correct.
at a whole host of other problems. But those big threes that are there, definitely killing a lot of people.
Yes, yes. So it's all about food. And so I mentioned what, is the top of the list, and what's right there also, and what I'm going to relay right now is good and effective for so many health issues, and we're told it's demonized, stay away. Animal protein.
Animal protein.
Animal protein.
What is that?
Anything that moves, Lester.
Okay.
Runs, walks, crawls, swims.
So you're talking about red meat.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But there's a but there. So I may be gone after regarding this. And there's a lot of veganism that has come about the last 10 or more so years in this country, which I respect, people who are vegan, but it's not the way to go. It isn't. Our great-grandmothers, I'll bring them up again. Were they vegan?
No.
There you go. And again, how long did they live? To the ripe old age of 90, 95. I'm not saying everyone, but majority from people I've talked to and asked. But there's exceptions. So animal protein, top of the list is not only meat, it needs to be 100, this is the key, 100% grass-fed or grass-fed, grass-finished.
Okay.
You are what you digest, absorb, and assimilate. You are what the animal you eat ate, right? And the life that animal went through.
Now, how do I get that type of meat?
That's a good question. Well, the best store to obtain this at is Whole Foods. I'm giving a plug for Whole Foods.
Okay.
Now, is everything there great? No. But your best options are there. And believe it or not, Aldi has 100% grass-fed beef.
Okay. So
100%
when you go and buy it, it'll state on there it's grass-fed meat.
Not just that. It has to say 100% grass-fed meat.
Okay.
Or grass-fed, grass-finished, you don't find really in the stores. That you'll find with a company online. There's Butcher's Box. There's a few others, but Butcher's Box comes to mind. So I'm kind of giving you a long response to your question about, or you brought up, the health issues that African Americans are experiencing, and all of us are experiencing. And meat, eggs are at the top of the list as well. Meat and eggs, and anything that moves, wild salmon, wild sardines, and mackerel, lamb, bison, venison, on and on. But the top three, 100% grass-fed meat or grass-fed, grass-finished. Eggs, preferably pasture, not pasteurized, pasture-raised.
Okay.
Or free-range organic. Number one is pasture-raised organic. And just the cleanest you can get, preferably organic and the 100% grass-fed and pasture-raised eggs.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is nature's blood sugar regulator, and that's how I have to present it. You mentioned diabetes.
Right.
It's prevalent in this country. I hear it from so many people. The main thing that regulates blood sugar, animal protein. Trust me when I say this. I learned this the day one of my studies. I learned this in talking to other nutritionists. I learned this from working with clients. Animal protein. And number two, which has also been demonized, fat. The top two things that the human body needs besides water, salt, minerals, animal protein and fat.
What type of fat?
So, good question. Nature's fat. So we get fat from eggs.
Okay.
We get fat from wild salmon. We get fat from 100% grass-fed beef.
Okay.
But we get fat from butter. We get fat from lard. That's scary for a lot of people.
Okay.
We get fat from plants as well, avocados, coconut oil, olive oil, etc.
What about dairy?
I'm a fan of, well, can I say the word? Unpasteurized dairy.
Okay.
And there is access to it, although limited. So it's not that not everybody can handle everything I'm saying, but the majority, it's not that dairy's bad. Again, just like the salt aspect, it's what they're doing to the dairy. So anything that is pasteurized becomes a fake food.
Okay.
And you cannot digest it. And that calcium, I will tell you this, that calcium found in the dairy, it's not ending up in the bones where it's supposed to. Again, I got to be careful here, but there's studies that state they're finding when people have passed away from heart issues, the majority have calcium deposits latched on the arteries. How does that happen? When you don't digest something that has calcium in it, high calcium, it's not going to end up where it's supposed to end up, at the bones. The body can't process it. It's going to end up in the soft tissues. So I actually am aware, and I do purchase it, and I've told clients, Whole Foods, 95% of their cheese, we'll talk about cheese, is pasteurized. I would not touch it.
Okay.
There's 3 or 4 that are raw, RAW.
Now, all the cheese that I eat these days, especially on pizza, again, they never talk to me about the type of cheese they're putting on.
Yeah, it's pasteurized. All restaurants, they buy, I'm not going to say all, but the majority of restaurants buy from one supplier or a couple of suppliers. They're not going to have raw cheese.
Okay.
So raw cheese is actually very, very healthy for the body. Now, it's, again, saturated fat has been demonized by the medical community and even the dietetic community, dietitian community. Not true. If it's man-made, yes, not good. But if it's from nature, it is very, very good for the human body. Okay. So raw cheese gives you live food. You have live enzymes. Food is supposed to have enzymes. When you have it raw, you have live enzymes. When you pasteurize, it's dead nutrition.
Okay.
So your question about diabetes, blood sugar issues, I have to present it that way. Animal protein and fat are the top 2 things to regulate blood sugar.
Okay.
Those are the top things. The food we need to stay away from regarding blood sugar are the food, or I should say, is the food that they're telling us, the industry is telling us to consume. Bread,
stay away.
Not good.
Okay.
This
what about the bun?
Correct. This may sound a little funny asking this, but is there a bread tree outside, Lester?
Not that I've seen.
Is there a bagel bush?
No, I've not seen any of those.
Okay. Oh. And last time I checked, the waffle doesn't come out of the ground,
right,
or a pancake. So it wreaks havoc on blood sugar. Sugar should be a given, right? The refined sugar is not good on blood sugar. Orange juice, apple juice, very bad on blood sugar, because nature, God, made fruit, right, intact. We're removing the liquid sugar. That's what it is. And the body doesn't know how to process that except raises blood sugar. And you have, which I've been talking about for the last, couple years, the staple for us in this country, grains. Okay. Oatmeal, wheat, not what it's cracked up to be.
So I can't eat my oatmeal in the morning?
Well, I don't want to say can't. I don't want to say can, but I will tell you this, and I'll probably be gone after for this statement. Oatmeal and wheat raise blood sugar worse than refined sugar. Okay. It's not just me saying this. There's a book. I'm giving a little plug for a cardiologist. His name is Dr. William Davis. Okay. Dr. William Davis, a book called Wheat Belly. Your viewers might want to take note of that, Wheat Belly. Okay. And he says he studied 4,000 of his patients, 4,000. They all had health issues. What's the common denominator for their health issues? No matter what the health issue was, brain fog, headaches, can we call that a health issue? And arthritic issues, sleeping issues, on and on. He said grains. And he pinpointed wheat and oatmeal, because that's our staple, especially wheat. And he says the same statement. Wheat and oatmeal raise blood sugar worse than refined sugar. Okay. Here's a cardiologist saying this.
In a book.
Correct. And there's also a book called Grain Brain, How Grains Harm Your Brain. So grains are very bad on blood sugar. And this is our staple, so we have to connect the dots. Why is an issue such as diabetes occurring? We're not eating enough animal protein. We're not eating it correctly. We're not eating fat, because it's been demonized, those two, protein and fat. We're eating bread. We're drinking fruit juice. We're eating oatmeal. We're eating rice. We're eating wheat bread, pancakes, etc. That's the issue. The body is intelligent. We're not putting the correct things in. So, and as I mentioned earlier, is you are what you digest. You're real whole food. So those things, and also you mentioned, what were the other issues you mentioned?
Well, we talked about a number of them, but talking about the health for, especially the African American community. We talked about the diabetes. We talked about the issues for the high blood pressure, those issues we go through.
Correct.
And they also have a number of issues these days with having the heart scenario. And that's just a part of the blood and the whole scenario that goes through there.
Correct.
And again, the issue is what you eat.
Yes.
And right now, it's an issue that right now we have to come with the conclusions that, look, we have to stop eating certain things. And right now we don't have an industry, at least the things that we eat we're not being told the ingredients, what we're going to actually have to deal with. Right now, the meat that we eat, all the processed meat that we get, don't know what's going through the meat. It's not the natural meat that people would want to eat.
No.
But it's definitely being sold by the grain. But again, it's an issue. Again, we keep going to places like McDonald's or Burger King, Wendy's. Again, we're going to give you mini burgers, the biggest burger you want. But what are you going to get from this big burger? It's going to kill you.
Correct. Yeah, it's very disheartening to me. I'm very passionate about this, and I just want your audience, people to know the truth, what's going on. We just have to focus on animal protein and also fat, the water, the spring water with the good unrefined salt like Celtic salt. Also green leafy vegetables are very important. Vegetables, but mainly green leafy, we should concentrate on.
Okay.
And my favorite and most nutritious, microgreens. And
now, what's microgreens?
They are 2 steps, we'll say, prior to a plant being completed, as far as completing growth, like broccoli, micro broccoli greens. Very, very nutritious, and the science shows, nutritional science shows 4 to 6 times more nutrition. Okay. But any greens, the only thing about some greens like spinach, which I'm a fan of, but we want to not overdo eating raw spinach because it does have oxalates, and that's not good for the kidneys if you overdo it. So I suggest to your audience, if you eat a lot of spinach, concentrate on how you feel after. If you feel good, then okay, continue to eat raw, but you might want to consider steam. If you steam spinach, you steam it for no more than 5 minutes, it negates some of those oxalates, and it's easier to digest. Okay. Remember, you are what you digest, absorb, and assimilate. So greens are very good, and fruit is, you can have fruit, berries especially, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries. I think most people are aware of that. I'm not saying to focus on that. We don't want to overdo the fruit. It's just protein, fat, spring water, salt, minerals, and green leafy vegetables are the main focus. You can have potatoes. I eat potatoes. I'm not saying you have to eat them for optimal health.
Can it be a baked potato, or can I have the fries?
Correct. Well, I'll tell you this. You can make French fries, but this is where the oil comes in. The only plant oil I recommend, and I emphasize this is where you can have the best food in the world, the best potatoes, organic potatoes. But if you use the wrong oil to cook with, it can become detrimental.
Okay.
The only plant oil I emphasize, it's semi-safe, unrefined, and I emphasize unrefined, like I've talked about before, coconut oil. Unrefined virgin organic coconut oil. The unrefined aspect is huge. But I have 2 number ones to cook with. Butter, great-grandmother, right? And my number one, beef tallow.
What's that?
That's beef fat.
Okay.
So, and that's what, if I go back to the 50s, McDonald's, when they started out in their french fries, or their french fries consisted of potatoes, beef tallow, and salt. That's it. Now they have 18 ingredients. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but so here's the concept. When you cook with, and a lot of people are, and I'm saying these are dangerous to cook with. Canola oil, dangerous. Vegetable oil, dangerous. Sunflower oil, dangerous. Safflower oil, corn oil, and even grape seed oil, and even, this is going to be surprising to a lot of people, olive oil.
So you're saying all the things I used to eat, you say is dangerous.
Well, again, I'm going to be careful with that word. I don't want to use it too loosely. I'm kind of using it loosely, but that's what we cook in. And they have been processed so much, heated, deodorized. But here's the thing. When you have these thin oils, even olive oil is very healthy, but not cooked with.
Okay.
What these oils do, even olive oil, they oxidize, they change. Oxidation is not good.
Okay.
And they change very quickly. So,
now, do you have the book out for me to go back to the notes on this?
I don't, but soon to come, hopefully.
Okay.
That's my goal, one of my goals. So the best oils to cook with, if we want to call them oils, are the best components to cook with. Unrefined coconut oil,
Okay.
butter, and beef tallow is my number one. Even lard. Even lard is safe to cook with. But again, remember, we'll go a little further. We're eating what the animal we ate and the life it went through. So look for organic lard, look for grass-fed beef tallow, look for, again, unrefined coconut oil, organic. And the reason, these have saturated fat, and saturated fat has been demonized. And I'll tell you why. Back in the 60s and then in 1983, the sugar industry approached scientists from Harvard and said, kind of ease off the sugar. Don't demonize sugar so much, go after fat. That's how it started, Lester. It's not a fib. And then what happened? They did. The advertising, the medical community took note. Oh, this is what you're supposed to use. Not true.
Working.
Not true. So those fats, as I mentioned, these thin oils, the canolas of the world, even olive oil, they oxidize quickly. But these solid oils, or the solid fats, coconut oil, butter, and beef tallow and lard, they're stable, very, very high temperatures. Very, very high temperatures.
You're giving a lot of data here. We got a lot of things to do. So you're the consultant right now. So again, how do people reach you if they want to get these types of data points from you?
I appreciate it. Chris Pajak, as I stated, is my full name.
Right.
And my phone number is 708-699-7668. That's 708-699-7668. And my email address is C as in Chris, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, so CFP Nutritional, NUTRITIONAL @Yahoo.
Got it. So we've talked about the adults. What about the kids? What's going on there?
Well, the kids are mainly consuming, I'm hearing this a lot, and you can probably attest to this, cereal, bread, orange juice, what I grew up on. And cereal is not real food. It's great. They're grains, and plus they sit in a box for how long? A very long time. They're sprayed to make them hard. And again, I'm going to ask this question: is there a cereal tree outside, Lester?
No trees. But what about granola? I mean, is that
only homemade?
Okay.
So again, we have to go back to the thinking. Are these food companies really out for us? Most of them, probably not. They're about how can we make the most money the cheapest way. Homemade granola, that's okay. We can do that. So, but
I buy my granola from Whole Foods.
it's better. It's better. But again, we got to concentrate on the animal protein and fat for breakfast. For example, eggs. 3 to 4 eggs depending on your weight. You go according to your weight. And also like half of avocado. Blueberries. You can add a sweet potato or a yam. That's real. Cereal granolas from the store, it's not real. So this is what we need to focus on. I don't want your audience members to just live. I want them to thrive.
So I should be having my eggs based on my weight. I mean, I'm 160, 70 pounds.
So you should have 3 to 4 poached eggs,
Okay.
or soft boiled or hard boiled.
Per day?
Actually, I'm going to relay this to your audience. Depending on my day, 8 to 12.
What?
Yes. And I will also let them know the last 24 years, ever since I got into this, the amount of eggs I consumed, I had to figure it out because of someone telling me I'm eating too many eggs and cholesterol. 65,000, Lester. I'm not making it up.
Eggs.
So what does that tell us about eggs? They're a superfood.
Is that because I've been noticing the prices of eggs been going up? Is that because of demand?
That's a different story. That's a different thing we can talk about. But here's the thing. As healthy as eggs are, every single vitamin and mineral is in there except no vitamin C. And guess what the healthiest part of the egg is? The yolk.
The yolk.
That's been, again, I'm going to use the word, demonized for years.
Does it matter if I'm frying the eggs, having scrambled egg, or can I boil the egg? Does it matter?
Good question. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to go here. It's not about high cholesterol. It's about damaged cholesterol. We don't hear about that. There's no drug for damaged cholesterol. So what that means is when you cook an egg, something that has cholesterol in it, always keep the flame on low. Do not turn it up high. If you turn it up high, you damage the cholesterol of the egg. This is what happens. So that's what I'm saying in the beginning, cooking is huge. It's so important. So it takes longer, but you want to keep it on low. So you could have soft boiled is number one. Hard boiled, poached is right there, where you boil water in a pan, and once it starts bubbling, you turn it on low. Then you crack the eggs and put it in there. Put the eggs in the pan, and you cook it until your liking. But the more you get into cooking, scrambled omelets, I'm not saying don't ever do that, but potential damage can occur. But just always keep the flame on low. You can do scrambled eggs, fry them in the unrefined coconut oil, or the lard, or the butter, or the beef tallow. But always keep the flame on low. So.
Yeah. Do you do speaking engagements to tell people about this?
Yes, that is another one of my passions. It's been many years, but I want to get into that once again.
Okay.
I really do. So, but I just want to say I meet a lot of people. The main health issues that I'm hearing, you mentioned diabetes. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing, and you mentioned blood pressure. And also I hear digestion issues. I hear sleeping issues. But and cholesterol issues. If I want to go into blood pressure. So the thing about blood pressure, and I hear from clients, my doctor has me on a blood pressure pill. So I'm going to ask the question, well, is the reason you have that? And I would ask a doctor this, doc, I have this high blood pressure, and you're writing me a prescription. Is the reason I have that because I'm deficient in that blood pressure? Does the human body was I born to be, have a blood pressure pill in me? No. So when it comes to blood pressure, this is what works. I'm not going to guarantee, but it works. I've worked with many people. First of all, what causes high blood pressure? Number one is a magnesium deficiency. Let's repeat that. Magnesium deficiency.
Okay.
Remember I said earlier is we are deficient in minerals. The number one mineral probably we're deficient in? Magnesium. So what magnesium does, it does 300 different things for the human body. It's pretty cool. The main thing it does, relaxes the blood vessels. So if you have relaxed blood vessels, what should happen? The blood pressure should
come down.
Correct. Also, what causes blood pressure to raise is, now this is probably what most people haven't heard of, a nitric oxide deficiency. So
what is that?
I'm glad you asked that. I was going to state that anyway. So nitric oxide is a natural gas the body produces on its own. The inside of our arteries called the endothelium. Okay. So the endothelium is supposed to produce this natural gas called nitric oxide. It does with the correct nutrition.
It sounds like the gas that my sister passes when I'm going by. Not totally the same
different
thing.
That's not good gas. This is good. This is good gas.
Okay.
So it's a natural gas, and some call it a molecule. So what occurs is with the correct nutrition, the endothelium, the inside of the arteries, is supposed to relax, like with magnesium, but better yet, widen. So now we got wider arteries. What do we have? The end result? Better blood flow.
Okay.
So it's really, heart health is about the health of your arteries. That is so vital, the health of your arteries, and it's not talked about. So in 1998, 3 scientists came or went to the medical community and said, we discovered the key to heart health, nitric oxide. All PhDs, all received the Nobel Prize. But have we heard about nitric oxide?
No, I've not.
No. There you go. But here's where the maybe puzzleness will happen from your audience members, some or if not all. The number one thing I focus on that raises blood pressure, an inflammatory diet, Lester. Inflammatory foods. Flour, here we go again, sugar, pasteurized dairy, and now the new craze is almond milk, pasteurized oat milk, fruit juice, and grains. They're all inflammatory. And if I can give you a case in point who I worked with, what occurred, can I relay this to you?
Sure.
So this young lady came to me and said, my blood pressure is borderline. What do? I don't want to take blood pressure pills. I said, well, I can't tell you what to do, but you came to me, you want to know, here's what we do. I mentioned magnesium. I mentioned nitric oxide. There's products for nitric oxide. And I also mentioned anti-inflammatory diet. And her response was, anti-inflammatory diet? And I told her what I told you, what those foods are that we should stay away from. They're inflammatory. So she listened. She contacted me maybe a week later, said, oh, I'm doing so well, my blood pressure is phenomenal. Then 2 weeks after that, she comes back to me and says, I'm so mad, I'm so upset. I said, her name is
Why?
Karen. Karen, what happened? She said, my blood pressure rose like crazy. I said, what? And the first question I asked was not about magnesium, not about nitric oxide. What did you eat? She says, funny you asked that. I check my blood pressure, because she checks it regularly, prior to eating a muffin. A muffin.
Okay, just a regular muffin.
Just a regular muffin. She said it was fine. She said, I ate that muffin, an hour later,
It blew up.
blood pressure rose. She said, I can't believe it. I said, well, we talked about this. So, anti-inflammatory diet. Fish is great. Wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, they're anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
So we got to focus on, again, I'm going to say this, the culprits to most of our health issues in this country to stay away from, I can't emphasize enough, as much as we can. Flour, sugar, pasteurized dairy, fruit juice, grains.
Sounds like Thanksgiving.
And these seed oils. Yeah. I mean, once in a while we can do this. It's just the more we intake this food, it adds up.
Okay.
So
Now, you've given us a ton of data. Right now, we've run up so much time.
okay.
And the question again, how do we get in contact with you?
Okay, my phone number is 708-699-7668. Again, it's 708-699-7668.
Okay.
Chris Pajak. And then my email, CFP, C as in Chris, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, nutritional, NUTRITIONAL, @yahoo.
So what am I going to do? I call you up, Chris. You've said all these great things when I saw your show. How can I get with you?
Well, we would, when I receive a call, I would ask, why you're calling. I appreciate the call, and how can I help you? What are you experiencing? And we would.
I'm dying.
Oh boy. Well, I'm here to hopefully help. No, but we would. I want to know the issue, and then I would say, then, of course, I have to relay this. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV. No, I'm joking. I'm not a doctor. I don't treat, prescribe. I don't diagnose. But I'm here to relay to you the things we're supposed to intake for our bodies, so your body takes over and performs the way it's meant to perform.
Got it.
And I always have my clients, and I would do that with you, relay to me, tell me what your average day looks like as far as food and liquids. What are you eating on the average? Okay. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'll guarantee it will be what you're eating. I'll connect the dots.
Got it.
And then we'll go into a plan. Everybody's different, but there's a foundation, and we talked about those things.
Right. Then the water I'm supposed to use is what again?
Spring water.
Spring
I'm
water.
a big fan of Mountain Valley spring water.
Mountain Valley.
Correct.
Okay. How much does this cost? Is it normal water or?
It depends on the store. $2.99,
Okay.
$3.29, I believe. But
for the gallon?
They don't make gallons, unfortunately. It comes in single bottles or cases. A case is like 27 and change.
Got it.
But I have to emphasize, we didn't go into this. Glass is also vitally important.
What's the issue with glass?
Glass is what you want in a water bottle. What they're finding, and this is recent, in bloodstreams of people and in men's semen, microplastics. And what is going on is we're using a lot of plastic water bottles, and these flimsy plastic water bottles. The bottles that, when you squeeze them, they make that noise, and they're very easy to squeeze, and you know, etc. So they're not good. So as much as we can, we want to focus on water bottles.
Got it.
So
bottles are definitely good.
Yes.
And right now we won't have that terrible plastic that will come into your body.
Correct.
Along with all the other junk that gets sold around, and hey, when you get your burger and things of that nature, it's all being tossed around there.
Correct.
So right now, again, we only have so much time. So right now you've been taking over 60,000 eggs.